Welcome to our third video on cooperative learning. At the beginning, let's have some revision about the goal of cooperative learning. The goal of cooperative learning is for students to take ownership of their learning process and to learn from each other. Research shows that working together in groups leads to higher level of accomplishment. Today, we will talk about implementation of cooperative learning strategies. There are many ways of implementing cooperative learning, and it can be used both in a classroom and at home. At the beginning, I'm going to explain you 5 key steps to successful implementation of cooperative learning. The first key steps in implementation of cooperative learning strategy is identify the purpose. The teacher should define why she or he is using cooperative learning, whether to enhance understanding, whether to develop skills, or encourage collaboration. And the second key step in implementation of cooperative learning is design a plan. The teacher should create a supportive classroom environment for group work. Differentiate between cooperative and competitive learning. And the teacher should choose the method to teach these skills. And we will show you which methods develop students' cooperative skills in the next videos. The third one is explain to students. Give your students examples of successful group projects and provide clear instruction on cooperative learning tasks so the students understand what is expected from them. The fourth key step is monitoring process. As students work in groups, observe and provide guidance. Introduce incentives for both group work and individual contribution. This could be things like extra credit, praise, certificates, or chances to take on leadership roles in the group. A system where the group's success depends on each other's participation encourages everyone to do their part. Giving personal feedback or point for individual contributions also helps motivate students and build a sense of shared responsibility. The last one is evaluation. The teacher should assess the effectiveness of group activities and always encourage reflection. These were all about the key steps of successful cooperative learning activities. Now I'm going to share with you some other tips for successful implementation of cooperative learning. As a teacher, you should be patient. Both you and your students need time to get comfortable with cooperative learning. Because at the beginning, not every time it may be successful. That's why you should start small. Introduce short, simple tasks to build experience at the beginning. And adapt group size based on the tasks. Start with 2-3 students per group for younger learners and expand for older students. Always bear in mind to keep students on task by setting clear time limits and assigning roles like a group timer, take note, note taker, and so on. Now, let's talk about some challenges that teachers might face while implementing cooperative learning activities. One challenge is teacher comfort with shifting from a teacher-centered to a facilitator role. It can be difficult to let students take the lead, as in cooperative learning, the key is to monitor and guide rather than dominate the process. Some other disadvantages that teachers might face are the following. While implementing cooperative learning activities, students must rely on one another, which can lead to unequal participation. And other disadvantage might be some students may dominate discussions, hogs, or remain passive. They may be logs. And one more disadvantage might be there is often more talking, which can be challenging to manage. Grading can be difficult since it involves assessing group work. And the last one, wrapping up activities can take longer than expected. Now we are going to talk about how to group students in cooperative learning, as it is one of the main issues to take into consideration. As a teacher, it's important to create groups yourself or use some forms of random selection. Avoid letting students choose their own groups, as it can lead to exclusion and social pressure. Instead, aim for diversity in gender, ability, and perspectives. One of the simplest methods is to random selection. For example, you can use a deck of cards. All students who draw the same cards, for example, all the nines, can form a group. When grouping, also consider students' academic abilities. You can group them homogeneously with similar performance levels or heterogeneously, mixing different levels. Keep safety in mind. Ensure students are in the positive and respectful environment. After forming groups, another question arises. Who is the best suited to assign group roles? The teacher or the student themselves? The decision on assigning the group roles, whether by the teacher or students, depend on the learning goals and students' experience. There are advantages in both sides. If teacher assigns role, it is best for younger and less experienced students. When specific roles are crucial, it ensures balanced participation and prevents dominant students from taking over. Teachers can assign roles like leader, note taker, or presenter based on students' strengths to develop specific skills. For example, a shy student might be assigned as the presenter to build confidence. The second one, if the student assigns role, what happens? It might work well for mature or experienced groups. It promotes students' ownership and leadership and allowing them to choose roles based on group dynamics. For example, students can assign roles like leader or researcher based on their strength. And there is a third way, hybrid approach. Teachers can start by assigning roles and gradually allow students to take over, helping them learn to manage group tasks individually and independently. In short, the approach depends on your objectives and students' abilities. Teacher-assigned roles offer structure, while student-assigned roles foster independence. Well, dear all, that wraps up our discussion on the key elements of cooperative learning strategies. In the next videos, we will dive into specific cooperative learning activities that you can use in your classroom. Stay tuned for practical examples and strategies to help you implement these activities effectively. Bye!